Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you are. Hello. It is currently 6:30 in the evening in Hong Kong, and I'm actually very knackered. Evidently I didn't get enough sleep because I lost a day somewhere in my travels. However, it's just coming up on 5:30 in the morning on the East Coast of New York. East Coast of America. Sorry, I'm not awake. I'm dragging myself through the day here. I've taken a little break in the work. Basically, I got a new laptop. The US sent over a brand new, shiny Dell laptop. Actually quite nice. The screen on it is quite impressive. But of course, there's nothing on here. There's absolutely nothing on here that I need for the week, for my work this week, and so I have to reinstall all the software. And I thought I'd brought most of it along on my nice little handy external hard drive, but sadly not. So at the moment I am FTP'd into my network attached storage device over in England, which remarkably, FTP over SSH2 going into a secure FTP server in my house. Who would have thought it would have worked from here? Obviously they're not filtering things quite as badly as some people let on. But then again, they don't know what my IP address over in England actually is, so there's no point filtering it. It could be legit. Anyway, so over here, they do actually have, you can get the Financial Times. It might just be that there's not much to talk about this week, but it looks a little empty. There seems to be a little less analysis in here than I'm used to, but perhaps that's just me. Of course, the big news this week is the front page of this. U.S. suffers worst year of job cuts since 1945. But before we talk about that, I will come back to that. What I wanted to talk about was find the front page, dropped it down here. You can see the wall back there. How exciting is that? The front page of the Sunday Morning Post. Now, I will link these articles in because they're actually kind of humorous. Yeah, I wouldn't consider this to be an in-depth paper either. However, basically, Disneyland is going to open a park, or is trying to open a park in Shanghai. Disneyland Shanghai. And they also want to try and open one in Hong Kong, which I thought was quite interesting. Disneyland are taking notice of the changes in the whole market over here. Unlike some companies. Marks & Spencer's, apparently, just opened a rather large superstore in Shanghai and really have no idea about the Chinese market and what people in China actually want to buy. They've had a dreadful time in Hong Kong. Currently they have 10 stores in Hong Kong, but at one point they got kicked out of a big mall because they wanted trendier fashions in there, so they got kicked out. But there's a telling little bit in here. On some floors there was next to nothing to buy. On New Year's Eve, the food hall, which Marks & Spencer promised would contain one of the biggest selections of any overseas store with 1,000 lines, had only a paltry few dozen to offer anyone planning a December 31st party. There was row after row of empty shelves. Yeah. So, if you're going to try to come into the Chinese market, you wouldn't believe how bustling it is here. Things are still happening here. The Chinese economy is still growing, just nowhere near as quickly as it previously had. Now, one of the articles in here that caught my eye is interesting, and so I'm going to talk about this for a moment. Now, of course, what happens in a recession is, and depression and everything, people get rid of the extras. People, get rid of the things they don't really need, which makes sense. Well, over here in Hong Kong, what they're getting rid of is the Filipinos. The Filipinos are cutting back on remittances as credit crisis bites. They're basically hanging on to more of their money here to continue staying here. Remittances to the Philippines from the millions of Filipinos working worldwide hit a record $14 billion in 2007. Hong Kong, which has 126,000 Filipino domestic helpers and about 10,000 professionals or residents, is among the top sources of remittances to the Philippines. Now, is it because they're sending less money, or is it because they're getting out of here? This is, of course, a Chinese paper, We may never know. Everything's being filtered. There is a link. I didn't bother signing up to the South China Morning Post website. Free 7-day trial. But you can if you wish. I've got the paper. I can just look at it. Okay, the comic was kind of funny, actually. Yeah. Don't worry. It's just one country. 2 Mickeys. And a very interesting take on the Somali pirate story. At the moment, there are currently, 14, it was on the front of the Financial Times. There's currently 14 vessels still being held by pirates. Pirates fight over ransom, 5 drown. Basically, they released one of the ships they were holding. They dropped, 3 million or something, a little parachute. There's probably a video on YouTube. You can see this little parachute pulling in with a big red thing full of cash. Give us your cash. Well, then they started going away in their boat. They started fighting over the money. They went away in separate boats, and one of the boats capsized and 5 drowned. And the source is agencies in Nairobi. Were they really fighting over the money, or was it just they're idiots? Never mind. So, unemployment. Now, on my report on Friday, I mentioned the ADP had done a little analysis, and they said that, they were thinking it was going to be around 620, 630, 640, I can't remember the number, that would be announced as the new unemployment number in the States. And then the U.S. government came out and said, no, it's not that bad. It's 524,000 have been made unemployed. I've been added to the unemployment registers in the month of December. Okay. Now, one would question, therefore, okay, what's the truth? What's going on with the numbers? Why does ADP, who actually sends these checks out and sends out the final checks to these people, say it's one number and the government says it's a different number? Well, the cynical among you could immediately say, well, the government's just lying to you. Yes, but there was actually a reason for this. Part of the problem is unemployment systems that actually accept unemployment, applications are all computerized and online. Except they're having a lot of difficulty coping with this increased demand. Unemployment agencies in New York, I believe, and Pennsylvania, and a couple of other states just can't cope. And the applications aren't coming in, and they're all coming in on a Monday morning sort of thing, and the system just explodes. So, there may be more than 524,000 people unemployed. They just can't get to the website to fill out the forms. Expect them to come rolling in, this extra 100,000 people that should have turned up in December. The other thing, classically, is people generally don't want to make an unemployment claim during Christmas. It kind of sets a rather nasty tone to the whole holiday season. So they'll just wait. They'll wait until January. Say, okay, fine, we'll forget about all that, and we'll have our Christmas, we'll have our parties, we'll have the children around, etc. And then afterwards, then the reality can sink in, and they can deal with it. Now, Martin, you are out of time, posted a video basically explaining, well, there's actually more than the stated figure. I believe what was the total figure. All right. As I said, I'm not quite prepared as I normally am because I'm really tired. Unemployment rate jumped to 7.2%, its highest level in 16 years, it's saying. Yeah. After claiming unemployment for a certain length of time, people are taken off the numbers of unemployed. They no longer count. So I'm going to include a link to a site called Shadowstats, shadowstats.com, and to one page there, the analysis page, or alternate data page, which will basically show you, okay, this is what the government's telling you, and this is what it really is if you take into account the people that have stopped working and stopped looking for a job and stopped claiming unemployment. Anyway, expect more. Peace. Oh, camera's in a completely wrong place. My head's starting to hurt now. Peace, everyone. But hey, let's see how fast it takes to get this thing up on YouTube with my new laptop. Always good news. There's always one little glimmer of hope. Peace, love, understanding. Do not panic. Don't panic about any of this. Think about it. Panicking is what gets people killed. See ya. Bye.